Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Freelance Friday. Today, I've got a bit of a different episode for you. I thought I would post one of my content creator confessions podcasts over here on this feed. As the name suggests, that podcast is really directed towards content creators. So, people who are looking to make a full time living posting videos on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. It's hosted alongside one of my best friends, Ryan Redoute. He is primarily a short form content creator, and his niche is the great state of Michigan. As you may or may not know, I am primarily a long form content creator who talks about business and marketing. And the reason I wanted to post this episode here on Freelance Friday is because this episode is more directed at marketers, business owners, freelancers, agencies who are actually running creator campaigns. So, this is a great way to spark new life into your social media content if you are a freelancer working, with brands on their social media, consulting with them, like pitching the idea of working with creators, either UGC creators, influencers, content creators, can be a great idea. And Ryan and I have worked on both sides of this business. So wanted to bring this one over because I really hope it helps you, especially as we're going into holiday season and thinking about Q1 2026 as well, and like helping our clients map out their budgets and all of that fun stuff. So if you enjoy this episode, please let me know. And if you enjoy Ryan and my dynamic and our banter, please be sure to subscribe to that feed. We've got a Spotify and we've also got a YouTube channel. It's called Content Creator Confessions. I'll link it down below for you. And thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. I feel like honestly, this one is a long time coming. I've had so many ideas over the years. I was like, should we write like a little mini book for brands? Or they probably wouldn't read it. No offense. No offense.
No, they're too proud.
And too busy.
And too busy, that too.
But I feel like, I feel like we have unique perspectives here
Yes.
because we've both worked on the influencer marketing, like the brand side of things.
Right.
And we've also both worked as creators, as influencers on brand campaigns. And we've seen the evolution of this industry. And so I would like to share some tactical step-by-step tips for anybody who is working for a brand, agency, whatever, and wants to run an influencer campaign. What should they do? How can they make it successful?
I want creators really to listen to this too, because I think that we have a good idea of what the whole pipeline looks like. And I think it's much easier to approach brands about rates and things like that when you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that like it can work out for both sides too. But yeah, where would you kind of start things off?
It's always a goal. You got to
Yeah.
set a goal. I think the number one thing that brands have to understand is how are they measuring ROI of this campaign? When I think of a brand collab that hasn't went well, it's because we have not been aligned on this.
Right.
And I think I talked about in one of our recent episodes that I had this brand that was expecting me to convert like 100% of my followers. I wouldn't have signed up if I would have known that was the expectation.
Right. That's so much.
It's like impossible. I mean, I'm being dramatic here, but like
no, but it's hard to promise something like that.
For sure. It's just like with, when you run a Facebook ad, for example, you choose which stage of the funnel you're looking to kind of target. Is it an awareness campaign, a, reach campaign, or a conversion campaign? Got to think the same thing for creator partnerships, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because who you're going to reach out to, the rates you're going to pay, the formats you're going to use, all of that are going to be different based on each of those different stages.
And I think that for creators, there's so many different creators you can pick for so many different things. Like sometimes I would think like the fashion creators are good for driving an ROI on, I think in like the things I follow, like swimwear, like if I see somebody rocking a Speedo that I'm like, man, that looks really good on them, I probably will be inclined to buy that exact thing. And to be honest, like that kind of advertising for just fashion or things like that has worked on me.
Yeah.
But then you also have to look at your different types of influencers. Like for me, if I was even booking myself, yes, I couldn't convert people, but I think my biggest claim or just biggest advantage is awareness. It's comedy. It's maybe just my face in Michigan, just because we've talked about in previous episodes, people come up to me in public. So there's that facial recognition side things too. So it's like, you almost need to think of your influencers at the same time at the very beginning when you're picking your goal too, versus
Yeah.
having it be secondary.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, every creator has a different kind of specialty or a different level of, like engagement rate, conversion rate, all those different things. And I
Mhm.
think also you have to think about your objective when you're going to pitch the campaign. Like, for instance,
Mhm.
if I'm like, yes, I have a conversion campaign, I want to hire Rye to talk about an ice cream shop in Detroit.
Mhm.
And my goal is like, I want to sell a bunch of ice cream cones. I don't
Yeah.
know, random. I'm going to be like, okay, cool. We're going to give a 50% off coupon code to you to share or
Boom.
something like that. That's
Yeah.
going to drive conversions versus tell them the address and location. Like, there's no incentive,
Like,
there's
let
no
them know that
incentive to
we sell
purchase.
ice cream. Okay.
Cool, amazing. Like, you're
I
not going to
love
get like this huge rush of sales. But if
Right.
you are able to, like, for instance, a brand that I've worked with for a long time, Metricool, they have a special code for me that gets people 30 days free on any premium plan. So it's like a no brainer. Like, people
Right.
are going to sign up. And then it's their job, the brand's job, to then convert them into like to retain them as paying clients so they
Right.
don't just use the free trial. But that's not my job anymore. Like, I've done the job of getting the emails, getting them signed up to the platform,
Right.
and it was really easy because they gave my audience an incentive.
Right, and that's where too, like the strategy of I've seen it on people that worked with me or just other campaigns that I've helped to run is then you run an ad campaign while also working with these influencers and having them make videos so that it's kind of like a 1-2 punch situation where
Mm,
the influencer shows people maybe like what the dress could look like. Let's say it's back to fashion. And then you follow it up with an ad that
mm,
says like, hey, do you want to buy that dress? Like that,
yeah.
sure, maybe you can use a photo of that influencer in it, but you don't have to. It can also just be selling it. So I think that that can add to the strategy side of things of when you're deciding your goal and
Yeah.
your who you're working with. That could be a part of it too of like, do we want to run an ad campaign with this? And for people who are creators, that's where the organic versus paid usage rights are like so important. It's such a pivotal part in the contract when you're working with
Okay.
brands.
I love that you're bringing this up. I was gonna say, like, can we parking lot this and come back
Mhm.
to it? But I think you're right. Like, I think this needs to be actually in the beginning. Like,
Yeah,
they have to decide: are we just doing an influencer campaign where we're paying Latasha to talk about a CRM tool or whatever, or are we running a you know correlating ad
right.
campaign? Right? Is that kind of what you're
Yeah.
saying? Like, yeah,
Essentially, like,
yeah.
are we gonna like work with Latasha, pay her X amount of dollars, but then also
Mm-hmm.
run ads? Because even on YouTube with YouTube targeting, I think you can even target people who like watch your channel while
Yeah.
they watch other videos or just other
Yep.
things like that. So it's like I would be like, okay, well, we're also gonna spend 10 grand to
Yep.
target other YouTube videos that are similar or just other creators that are similar to
Yep.
Latasha, even though we might only work with her from a collab point of view.
Smart.
Yeah, that structure, I feel like it starts so early with like knowing who you're going to work with. That it adds so much benefit to figuring that out.
Where do you think budgeting comes in? Do you think they should set a
Mm,
budget like during this planning process or
Always yes to me, but the thing is, budget should be. If I was running the campaign, let's use an example. Let's like run with an example. I like the ice cream shop
yeah,
example. Let's just say um, there's an ice cream shop, then their ice cream company versus a
yeah,
shop that has shops that wants to work with us. I feel like you could say, okay, we do have a max budget for influencers, which to give everyone perspective, I've emailed a lot of companies and I'll be like, hey, I want this for my brand deal. And they'd be like, well, our max budget is this. So
yeah,
like I definitely think a lot of brands out there, and those have been some of the better ones I think that
yeah.
I've worked with, or just ones that I think had the best structure, that they
Mhm.
definitely come in being like, we cannot go above this in terms of paying the influencer. So sometimes there is a max.
Yeah,
And know that if you email them from the creator point of view, then just go with what you think is right, because then they might come back and just be like, oh, we can only do this amount,
yeah.
versus you underselling yourself. But yeah, I think budget can definitely be in the very beginning, but I think it should remain flexible because if the video does really well, you probably are going to want to adjust that. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying like extreme flexibility, just like the ability to put 5K more behind it in terms of ad spend
Yeah.
or 10K if it's doing really well. Like one of my videos, which like I kind of always expect my videos to do good per se, because I
Yeah.
do put so much thought into it. But one of them like really did well on TikTok. And
Yeah.
if I was the brand, I would have been like, hey, influencer,
Yeah.
we actually do want to buy paid usage rights. Can we pay you this amount and then use the remaining budget to boost it
Yeah.
even more? Because if the video does really well, you should have the ability to boost it. I
Yeah.
mean, as a brand, because that makes sense.
I just had that happen. You would be so proud of me because yeah, I did a brand collaboration long time ago, and they have renewed usage rights, I think 3 or
Oh,
4
perfect.
times now. They just asked
Yeah,
if they could do it until mid next year. So because it's doing
amazing.
well. So I'm like, "That's amazing." Like, that's literally passive income for me now at this
Right.
point. And then because 'cause they're obviously paying each time, and I'm
Mhm.
glad it's working out for them, and it's getting them the results that they need without having to maybe hire another creator to do another ad and that kinda thing.
Right.
Like, they're using its full shelf life, if you will.
And
And
it's
yeah,
easier for them too. Like it's
yeah,
so great for you, but it's also so great for them because if they have an
exactly.
ad that's running well, I've worked with teams where the same ad does really well year over year. Like it's
Yeah.
just you can't explain it. It's just a good ad. It's
Yeah.
just a good ad.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so and I think the budget thing, it's just like budgeting for anything else or
Mhm.
even like a hire. I mean, it's kind of that. It's like hiring somebody, just a micro, version of
Right.
that, but you might pay X candidate a little bit more. You might, dig deep into the budget and pull from somewhere
Mhm.
else if this is like the perfect person versus if you're hiring somebody maybe who's a little newer and blah blah blah, like you
Right.
might offer them a different rate. So I think that's how you come up with a budget is think of it how you would budget for any other line item,
Yeah, so you almost
right?
need to like rank the people that you want to work with too, because I think
Mhm.
if I was creating a campaign, I would know ultimately there's probably gonna be one person that's like the perfect person,
Yep.
and then maybe like a backup to that. But then the other
Yep.
people are probably gonna be another tier of
Yeah.
like they're good, but they're not maybe not perfect.
Yeah, right, and do some different kind of projections, right? If I
Yeah,
hire 3 good people versus 1 perfect person, like, what is
yeah,
the projected kind of ROI or, what kind of results could we potentially see and play
right. And
around
like
with those numbers?
and everything's going to be coming in like a tiered situation. Like you're going to have
Mhm.
your top person that you're probably going to have to pay the most. Then you're going to have your maybe 4 or 5 people under them that you can pay a bit less and
Yep.
spread that a little bit more. And then you're maybe going to have some micro people you can just give like $500 to because
Yeah.
they maybe aren't huge, but you value their engagement. And then
Yep.
you might even honestly have the level of people who like will do it for no money
Yeah.
that you don't maybe want to like you don't want to abuse that power, but let's say they only have like 1,000 followers
Yeah.
and they're kind of newer, maybe they want a free meal if you're or free ice cream if we're still in that
Right.
example. That they're like,
Yep.
yeah, if I make a video, I get free ice cream. That's cool with me.
Creative briefs, right? Is
Mhm.
that the next step? Like, once you kind of identify your budget, identify your goal, is that
Have you
that's
gotten good like I've gotten
I feel
varying
like I hate
creative
this.
briefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've gotten briefs where they're like, it's a couple sentences and it's kind of like,
Mhm.
you do you. Like this is just
Yeah.
the main thing. I've gotten other ones where they're like down to a scientific level what they want. Word for word.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think it is important though to put together a creative brief. Like you have to give people something. You have to
Yeah.
give people, for lack of better words, like the rules or the guidelines, I guess
Mhm.
maybe, of the partnership. I think there is a balance of because I've gotten some that are like, yeah, like you said, it's like a book. And I'm like, I'm just not reading this. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Right, I'm not reading this whole
You
thing.
lost me. And I also feel so constrained that I'm like afraid to create in my authentic voice now because you've
Yeah.
given me like 12,000 like lines of script. So
Mhm.
why don't like if you're going to do that, then I would rather you just write a script for me and say, "Could you do this ad read?"
Right.
Honestly. And I've
Yeah.
actually said that to brands. I'm like, this seems complicated. Is there like a
Yeah.
specific like script you want me to use? So I do think there's like a fine line between doing that and then also just being like, "Hey, here's the website. Say whatever you want." Like I
Right.
think there needs to be like a middle ground of that.
Yeah, because I understand, like, some brands have a certain thing they need to get across to please stakeholders and
Mhm.
people at the top, which I think is
Yeah.
usually what happens. Usually the people I work with, I feel like in the past they themselves would allow me to be more creative,
Yeah.
but the business itself is maybe like
Yep.
nervous or just is a little bit more conservative, so they don't want to be too crazy. But I will say the brands that have let me just do my thing,
Yeah.
those end up being the best. Or
Yep.
one brand I worked with, they let me make the entire campaign and then they
Yeah.
just approved it. And they did really well and everything
Yep.
went smoothly and it was great. So, but I think like thinking realistically, middle ground wise, sure. Like give a
Mhm.
couple of like points and POVs of like how you want the videos to look, or maybe just even share your ideas
Yeah.
just so that the creator knows like what you're kind of thinking, but then be like, hey, if you think something's better though,
Yeah.
we trust you, and be
Mhm.
open to like there has to be a lot of flexibility. And maybe that's where like a lot of campaigns get it wrong is like the upper management doesn't allow for a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
But theoretically, I guess if you know your influencers and know their kind of vibe, you should let them be creatively free. Because like you said, like the more
Mhm.
every time you list a bullet that they have to say, you're essentially tie their creative part of their brain to like tie
Mhm.
it down to where
Yeah.
it can't do what it needs to do.
Well, and I think honestly, maybe this is kind of like this is point zero in my opinion. You have to decide if influencer marketing is even the right fit for your
Yeah.
campaign and your needs because it's not for every single one. Like if
No.
you have such a tight, for legal reasons or whatever, like where you have to only say things in like certain ways and
Mhm.
maybe it's not the best fit to hire Ryan from Michigan
Right.
who makes comedy videos, who's like not like a lawyer,
Right.
Maybe you need to just like run a Facebook ad from your branded account or
Yeah.
whatever, like do an email campaign or something like that. So I think you have to first decide, like, understand the role of influencer marketing, which is yes, it is about reach, it is about extending
Mhm.
reach. But I think even more than that, it's about growing affinity, in my opinion.
Mhm.
It's about, okay, Latasha has this community of people who trust her, respect her opinion. We could reach those same people with a Facebook ad,
Yeah.
but we can't buy that trust. And this is kind of
Right.
the closest thing to that. Like if Latasha is recommending it, now we've like bypassed a few
Mhm.
steps in the sales funnel, in my opinion. That's kind of how I think of it.
Yeah.
It's like getting, an endorsement is different than just a reach campaign on Facebook or something.
Right. I think sometimes I have been used, which I don't, which I think is like also good of like there's definitely points brands that shouldn't run influencer campaigns. I've worked with some that I would say their product's pretty boring. Like
Mhm.
put it like straightforward as possible, but they kind of want to throw me in there to kind of like
Yeah.
liven it up, even though I might be
Yeah.
like saying some boring stuff. So
Right.
there is like there's some flexibility in that, but yeah, like I think at the base you should make sure like if I had my way, if I had a boring product or service, doesn't make it a bad product or service. Just
Yeah.
some products and services. What do they say about like being rich? Like sometimes like the things that make you rich are the most boring things possible.
Yeah.
So no bad there. But if I had one, I would definitely use the like influencer plus campaign approach versus
Mm.
just saying like, hey, we have a boring product or service and influencers are going to make us interesting.
Yeah.
No, like I would definitely plan to give paid usage rights on the influencers video,
Yeah.
blast it for the awareness side of things, and then have like let's say it is like an email service provider. I would then, advertise on the side too to get people to try to convert a little bit.
Yeah.
So like cuz you have to be realistic about your
Mhm.
whatever you're telling versus like let's go back to the ice cream example. If I'm selling 50% off ice cream, that's exciting. I probably don't need to even run a campaign on top of the influencer if I didn't want to. I could just run the influencer and maybe boost their video.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you have to decide if it's even right, and then if it is right, do create some types of guideline. Like, give me the essential information, right?
Yeah,
Tell me
you still
what
need
the
that.
product is, what I should be linking to, create tracking links,
Mhm.
um, have all that information like available ideally in one document or one dashboard for people, because I can't tell you how many times I've been hired to do campaigns and I have like 7 different emails. I have to here, the link is in this email and then the talking points are in this
I've
email
gotten
and then
that
the graphics.
too.
I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. Like that's the stuff that honestly raises the rate. Like that's why
Yeah.
we charge a certain amount, because that takes days. You
Oh,
know, honestly, the admin side.
it's getting me thinking too about the different levels of email chains I've had. Like working on like a single video, I've had 96 email chains versus what I think my record for lowest amount of emails back and forth because the brand like just knew exactly what to say
Yeah.
whenever I needed it is like 24.
Oh,
Like that's the
wow.
varying amount of
Still a lot.
communication though over
Yeah.
like 24 versus 90.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Honestly,
that's a big difference.
yeah, that's so I really love when brands give me like a Google Doc or like a Notion,
Yes.
so something that's like a living document so that they
Hmm.
can like we have one centralized dashboard. So cuz I get it, maybe sometimes things get added or whatever, but if they like
Hmm.
here, hey, the Google Doc has been updated with the updated link or the graphic
Right.
as opposed to just sending me like PDFs and stuff via email that I'm having to dig for, like
Right.
make it easy for your creators to
Yeah.
find what they need and be successful.
And some use like the one that I like a lot, they use a like influencer management platform, which I know like
Yes.
selling people another software
Yeah.
probably isn't like what everyone wants to hear, but sometimes those softwares are just really they just make it so much easier. I've noticed from the influencer side, like I love them because
Yeah.
everything is in one place. It updates in real time, like you just said with like the
Mhm.
Google Docs. So you can which you can
Yeah.
do Google Doc too if you want to do
Yep.
that. But yeah, those different
Like
platforms do help a
Impact
lot.
and
Yeah,
Impact is
I'm trying to think of
one.
I think one is
Creator IQ, I
Creator
think.
IQ. That's
Yeah.
like one I've used before that I actually like a lot. If anyone
Yeah.
wants like a reco for one.
Yep. Agreed. If you're gonna be doing a lot of campaigns, I think it is smart to be on one
Yeah.
of those platforms. If you're just like testing it out or, doing a few a year or something, maybe not worth the investment because I know they're expensive. But if this is like a big part of your strategy, yeah, like that's gonna keep you really organized.
Hmm. And that's why I feel like the initial step is really figuring out so much ahead of time before you even hit like launch
Yeah.
and set out emails. Like, I mean, yeah, it's like when with picking influencers and even before you reach out to them, I think influencers appreciate it. At least I know I do when it feels like the campaign's already sealed in
Mm. Mhm.
versus the ones where like you feel like if like you don't sell it right or if you don't give the right idea, the campaign might not happen.
Yes.
Because I've gotten
Yeah.
both situations. And you can tell too, like when they reach out, the brand's like, you're the perfect person for this because we want this type of content. You make this type of content. What's your rate?
Yeah, I actually have one in my inbox right now that I just like responded to that I feel the way that you just described. Like I'm like, am I giving the right answer? Because they're like, we'd love to hear any ideas you have around this topic and your rates. And I'm like, okay, like here's my idea. Like, I don't know. I don't have like a video planned on that topic
Right.
already in the editorial calendar, but like I do feel like unsure. I'm like, is that what they're looking for? Like, am I saying the right
Mhm.
thing? But on the flip side, honestly, I like my partnership that I did with Nikon, they basically were just like, "Hey, we want to work with you. What are your ideas?" And I was like freaked out. I was like, I don't know. So I'm just gonna like pitch big and give like, I want to create a course, I want to create this, I want to create that."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Sounds good." So I think like as a brand, just know which one you're gonna be. Like, do you just
Yeah.
have like a spare X amount of dollars that you need to spend by the end of the year and a creator that, hey, we're a Michigan brand. We're gonna reach
Mhm.
out to Ryan Redoute. Like
Boom.
g- and see what he wants to do? Or do you have like a very specific, like a product launch or a, specific talking
Yeah.
point that you're trying to get across that you're looking to fill spots for lack of better words?
Yeah.
Like I think it's important again in that goal setting phase to know which approach you're trying to use.
Do you like it when brands give the so like we're moving on to like the next step of the
Yeah.
process where like things are planned out and they are reaching out to influencers? Do you like getting your rate right away or do you like it when they ask for your rates? Because there's a lot of strategy there.
I personally, as a creator, I love just give me the rate. Just tell me what you wanna pay me, and then I'll tell you if I
Yeah.
can do it, or I'll adjust the scope if I need to. It's such a it's so stressful for me to
Yeah.
have to, like, guess. Like, I don't know,
No,
$1,000,000. How about that?
you have to consider so much. I personally think that more brands should offer the rate initially because I think that they end up paying more when they ask for rates.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
gonna
so
put that out
too.
there.
I think so too.
I think if you approached me and said I think there was this one brand I worked with, if they would have came to me and said,
Mhm.
"This is what we want from you. We're going to offer X amount of dollars," I think I would have said yes
Right,
initially.
yeah, you're like, "Sweet."
Versus you're going to ask me my rates? Okay, well, let me go high. And then that was one of the ones where they said like, "Hey, our only max budget is this." And
Yep,
I think inevitably they paid a lot more than if they would have just given the rate. I probably would have said like, "Oh, this amount's already sealed in. Like,
yeah,
I don't have to worry about it getting
I
approved."
agree.
I probably will just take it
I agree.
because
If I have to
I'm, you know,
bust
I'm
out the
not
calculator,
right.
that's work in and of itself. Now I'm having to charge just for the fact that spending all this time,
Spending
again,
an hour or
admin
two,
stuff.
like, yeah, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I do see why they don't, because I think, I talked about it in an episode recently. A brand offered me, I think, $150 for like 5 million pieces of content. That was offensive. So I can see why brands maybe don't want to offend people with
Yeah.
like super low rates. But I think, there are lots of different uh benchmarks, I think, out there that you can
Mhm.
use to make sure you're not giving a completely offensive rate.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different calculations out there. I don't know that I necessarily agree with any of them wholeheartedly, like X dollars per thousand views, or
No, I don't follow that ever. That's like
I
saying
don't
all
either.
like back in school, like all A's are created equally. They never were.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like you can't really look at rates the same way. You can use it as like a loose, if
Yep.
you're a creator, you can look at it as like a loose, where should I sit?
Yep. Yeah.
But
I agree.
as a brand, I definitely would not. I personally, if I was a brand looking at influencers and deciding what to pay, would look at their engagement for like the past maybe like 10 posts,
Uh-huh.
and then followership amount, and just overall like what their community is about. And I would use
Yeah.
those three factors to kind of figure out my amount.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think again it goes back to like hiring the perfect candidate, right? There's different, like, I always say this, like, I lean on like the thought leadership angle. I don't have the biggest numbers, but if you're a social media tool, a tool that markets to creators or
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, like, that counts for something, right?
Right.
If I'm a Michigan brand, even if there is a creator, I've used this example
Hmm.
before, that has a huge amount of followers compared to you, but I'm trying to target people in Michigan, I'm gonna pay
Right.
you more than somebody even with like 1,000,000 followers who's in LA.
That's what
Like,
I tell people all the time.
you yeah, like,
I'm like, honestly, I would put my followership at equal power as
yeah.
somebody who had like, let's say mine's at like 200,000, or
Mhm.
then I would put that at almost like the equivalent of someone nationally who has like 2 million,
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
it being more niche.
Yep. And then even, sometimes brands will ask for my audience demographics, and I think
Hmm.
that is
I've
a
gotten
good
that too.
indicator too, because again, if you're like a comedy creator who targets, like, most of your audience is very young,
Hmm.
I'm probably not gonna pay, like, if I'm, like, I don't know, Microsoft looking to promote my expensive laptop,
Right.
maybe, like, not gonna pay you as much if you're mostly reaching, like, 18-year-olds who don't have a lot
Right.
of money, versus somebody like me who reaches a lot of people in their 30s, late 20s, 40s, who, like, are business owners and have
Right.
money and are willing to invest in their businesses. Even if I have lower followers, I'm gonna pay me more probably because 'cause I'm
Right. Even
likely
if you
going to.
got 500 views over five, even like 100,000, I'm
Yeah.
still gonna go for the thought leader
Right.
versus something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. So there are a lot of, like, we get it. Like, there's a lot of nuance when it comes to pricing. And so because of that, I think sometimes it is fine and good and reasonable to ask creators their rates first. But I still think you should have a number in the back of your head. I think that's
Yeah.
helpful, because sometimes I'll just be like, I'm tired. What's your budget? Like,
I actually plan to do it. I still plan to do this. It's a
uh,
short for our YouTube
uh,
shorts. And I
yeah.
want to just be a back and forth between like influencers and brands, and just be like,
Yeah.
what's your rate? What's your budget? What's your rate? What's
Yes.
your budget?
Yes.
Because like at what point, who gives in?
I know.
I feel
Yeah.
like
So,
creators usually give in because they are excited,
yeah.
about the opportunity. But
Yeah.
in essence, I think that like it could go either way.
Yeah, but I think it's good for the brands if that does come up, if they say, "Hey, what's your rate for something of this scope?" If a
Mhm.
creator says, "My budget's flexible," like, what do you have in mind? I don't know. I think it is good to have, for a brand to have a number to go to,
Yeah.
personally. Like, let's not do the back and forth forever. Just tell me. And I'll
Yeah,
probably
just
say
tell
yes
me.
because I'm tired. Tired
Like,
and
it's coming to
overworked
end
over
of
here.
year. I don't know. I haven't gotten a brand deal in a month. Sure, you time because timing
Yes.
is timing can sometimes work out in everyone's best interest too.
Yeah. Can we talk about that
Yeah.
timing a little bit? Like, how far do we think brands should be reaching out? How far in
Ooh.
advance?
Look, I'm an anal Virgo, so if I was doing a brand campaign, I'm getting it. I just did a campaign where, so they were initially using me for like 2 or 3 videos throughout the year, and they kind of
Yeah.
reached out to me individually for each one. But
Uh-huh.
then they moved into booking me for like the 3 videos back in
Hmm.
like, let's say January. And
Yeah.
then one video was in Feb, one was in April, and one was in late May.
Yeah.
So it was so nice because everything contractually budgets was figured out in January to
Yeah.
where then the videos and creative process just needs to happen.
Yep.
And I really liked that. So I personally would use that approach. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, if I'm new to it, I would say timing before the actual video, I would say 3 months.
Yeah.
Because just with creator schedules, like for instance, like this year alone, I went to Mexico, Japan,
Hmm.
and Canada, all of which were 10-day, 7 to 10+ day trips.
Hmm.
So like you kind of have to work with their schedule. And like there was one point where I had 4 different brand deals in a given month.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I for my audience have to time that out to where like it doesn't feel like they're just getting ads all the time. So I
Yep.
think it benefits the creator to just find out like Q1, get that budget in line, and then reach
Yeah.
out within like day 15 of that quarter.
Yeah. That's good. Like quarter by
And then the
quarter.
videos may be like in the beginning of the next quarter or at the end of that quarter.
Yeah. I agree. I agree that's ideal. It's not always possible. I get
No.
that. But if it's not always possible, like again, this brand that I'm playing the guessing game, I'm like, I hope this topic idea is what they're looking for. This is also a rush campaign. They're like,
Yeah.
we're letting you know in advance. We're looking for drafts by the end of the month.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I'll do it. But guess what? You're going to pay for
More
that.
money.
Yes. Yeah. You're not going to pay me the same amount as if we're doing something in November and
Yeah.
I've got like plenty of time to plan for it.
Right.
So keep that in mind,
Yes.
sometimes that and then just be transparent about it. Like I really appreciated that they gave me that information
Yeah.
up front because I could look at my schedule. I don't have travel planned, like I'm like, okay, I can commit to doing that.
I
Yeah.
I even I will price rushes higher as well to add
Hmm.
like accuracy to that statement. So much
Yeah.
so to that I actually ended up switching around some like a major event plans because I was like, I'm like, those people at that event will understand. I have to do
Yeah.
this because so
Mhm.
like you end up moving your life around to where like, yeah, you're the influencer. It was like 2 weeks before.
Yeah, absolutely. So reaching out, I guess.
Reaching
What
out and then figuring out sealing everything in with budgets. So you have your idea, you have the budget, you know how you're going to structure it. Then you reach out, you seal in because I think sealing in is a little bit tricky. Like that
yeah.
can take a little bit of time with some influencers, especially as you get into like the higher echelon of like people
Hmm.
that have to balance a lot of different brand deals. They have to maybe talk to their talent manager
Yeah.
too. That's why I think it's good to give more time. And then the actual creative process of it, I think to really mitigate emails, again, it's that creative brief, like you said, having
Yeah.
everything that you've wanted to say just already available to the influencer. Because then you could always just say like, per the creative brief,
Yep.
stick to this, or just don't put that many restrictions to where you get that first draft video back from them,
Yeah.
and then can kind of just go from there on whether or not that was good.
How do you feel about calls?
I do like an initial kickoff call
Mm.
because then it's really nice because I get my best ideas when other people share what exactly is on their mind
Yeah.
because then it gets my brain firing in
Yep.
like a million different directions. So I usually do like an initial like half-hour call
Yeah.
with brands just to talk it over.
I think it depends for me. I think, if you're paying me, like, if this is a one-off, like, podcast ad read, like, please don't ask me to get on a call.
That
No,
too,
I'm not
yeah.
trying to be rude, but, like, just, you know what I mean? If it's straightforward, if your brief is good. But I
Yeah.
do like the offer of, hey, this person's available if you want to talk. Like, I think
Yes.
that is nice.
That's always nice.
If we're doing a big campaign, though, if this is like a multi placements
Mhm.
campaign, if it's one of those types of things that is there's a lot of legal involved, there's a lot of all that, I
Mhm.
like a call as well. So you might, consider either
And
one of
there's
those
benefits
approaches.
for we've seen it before. There's benefits when it comes to pricing, when you can get, again, like that back and forth between what's the budget, what's the rate. If
Yeah.
you do that on a call, I
Mhm.
mean, I'll hold my ground to be like,
Mm.
what is the budget?
Yeah.
Like what did you, or sometimes I'll be really nice because I'm very team, whatever team I'm working with. Like I'm on their
Yeah.
side. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
the champion for them and their brand. That
Mhm.
I will say something along the lines of like, what were you thinking for this?
Yeah. Yep.
Because like what were you honestly thinking you wanted to pay for whatever spot in the influencer tier I'm in?
Yeah. Yep.
And that usually will like tell me a lot,
Yeah.
to where like we can talk from there. And usually you end up figuring it out really easily on the call. If I've ever talked
Yeah.
about budgets on the call, it's very smooth, there's no friction, and each party can be really honest.
I feel like there are two other things that I want to talk about. One thing that I think brands need to put into the scope or put into the contract or put out there in advance is that they're going to ask for data at the end if they're planning to
Ooh,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Which I think you should. I think you should
Hmm.
ask creators to give you like a little report based on, again, based on your goals. Are you looking for a click metric, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you can't see from your end, but tell them that, because I've had brands who like come to me and I'll literally be on a cruise ship in the middle of the United Kingdom and they're like, we need stats for our deck tomorrow. And I'm like, you didn't tell me you were going to ask for that. Like, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's like, and they're like mad at me because I'm literally on vacation or living. Like, what if I was giving birth? Like, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Like, you don't know what people are doing. So I think it's important to be upfront about that, that, hey,
Yeah.
that this is a part of the job. Like, after 30 days or whatever, we're going to ask you for metrics. So again, I can put it in my little Google Calendar or hire an
Hmm.
assistant or whatever I need to do. So put it
Yeah,
out there. But I do think it's important for brands to ask for it, because
I agree.
there are certain metrics that we can get from our view that they can't. And
Mhm.
it'll be good when they're presenting to those stakeholders and asking for more budget for campaigns in the future to have that full picture of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, and I feel like I know that uh platforms, for anyone wondering, like Creator IQ, give that info too
Hmm.
in real
Yeah.
time. So the
Yep.
brands can just pull it, which is nice too.
Absolutely. And then we're at payment, right?
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Payment.
Pay
Payment.
us.
Where in I mean, okay, I can't say where because I think when you're working with especially bigger businesses, it just takes forever to get payments
Mhm.
approved. Even though let's bring you into the world of Ryan and Latasha and just
Mhm.
creators in general.
Mhm.
You do 90 email chain. Not saying this was the brand that this happened with, but as an example, you email back and forth for 90 emails. You create a video that does amazing engagement. The brand gets brand lift from it. They get awareness. They even get some conversions out of it. You did your part. You did
Mhm.
your part.
They sent those reports 30 days after
You
while they were
sent
on a
those
cruise
reports.
ship.
You sent those reports from a cruise ship, and it was amazing. Everyone's excited. You're not paid yet. What?
Yep.
What's going on here? Another month goes by. 2 months go by. You're not paid. And then eventually I've had one terrible situation where they said like, I'm sorry, we have not been paid yet by so and
Mhm.
so. And I said, my deal was with you.
Yep. I've
That
had
is,
that happen before
I,
too. An
I was
agency.
right. Like, and to be honest, that was a sizable one that it was really, really ruining my energy. I was on a trip at
Yeah.
the time
Yeah.
when it came down to, and I was expecting to get that revenue. Like, and the way I put it in perspective is I understand that these big businesses have a lot to work through. Trust me, I work with clients like that even. But regardless, it's contract.
Yeah.
And I know that like, oh, I'm just a small entity. I can't put a lawyer against a huge business. And it's true. I'm
Mhm.
not probably not going to pay for lawyer fees to go after a large business and because I'm annoyed or whatever.
Mhm.
But you did me dirty. And I'm gonna remember that in the future to where I'm gonna ask for more upfront. And I'm gonna learn, and I've learned through that process that you
Yeah.
do need to not be afraid. And I think businesses should be okay with this too, of creators asking for more upfront.
Yeah.
I
I
think that
agree.
that needs to be a way. I think that's our power statement for creators watching
Yeah.
this, slash for brands. You need to be okay with it. and
Yeah.
put that into the campaign setup that
Yeah.
you're gonna have to pay a
Agreed.
certain amount up front because that's what makes happy partnerships, I think.
I'm
Happier.
sorry, but you in your like happy, peppy Michigan accent, you did me dirty. I just I need that on repeat forever.
Like,
Um
I mean, how do you, some people have
yeah.
like people have bills to pay. How do you just
Yeah.
go about how does the business okay just not paying the people like
Yeah.
according to what the contract said? To me, that it's one of the
Yeah.
worst things a brand can do with an influencer, especially if if the collab goes really well and you want to do it again.
Mhm.
You got to be good
Yeah.
in you got to be a good relationship. You got to be good
Yeah.
in the relationship.
Yeah, I think this is something that we've touched on many times. I've ranted about many times, but I could not agree with you more that again, we've both worked with huge, on the
Mhm.
brand side in marketing teams for agencies, for Fortune 500 companies. I've seen when I worked at, these Fortune 500 companies, I saw when we hired a web developer, we
Yeah.
paid them a deposit. I saw when we hired a videographer, we paid them a deposit. When
Yeah.
when we would pay a videographer like 15 grand to edit one 3-minute video, I saw the
Yeah.
deposit that went through the marketing budget. And I
Yeah.
support that. Why is a creator any different?
It's because they see us as kids still. They
Mhm.
think it's just this like kids doing kid stuff.
Just over here on my little
You really helped empower
plastic
me. I will
phone.
say, if everyone wants to save themselves a lot of stress, like do a little bit of an upfront deposit. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
anything crazy, but I
Mhm.
think it adds, or put late fees.
Yeah.
And don't have them be crazy. It's just
Right.
like even if the late fee is like 3% of whatever the brand
Mhm.
deal is, it at least puts pressure on them in a
Yeah.
very light way to say like, hey, you have to be the one that emails me. I'm not going to have to email you on the due date if it's
Yep.
not paid yet. It
Yep.
kind of like puts it more on them.
Absolutely.
Um, so
Yeah, and I think I'll say the brands that I've worked with that pay me upfront or pay a deposit upfront, or we have like an annual contract, so we have
mhm,
dates that are, I know I'm getting paid. I do my best work for those brands.
yep,
I go above and beyond. I literally like for Metricool, I literally just pulled together a presentation with like
yeah,
2 weeks notice and I was happy to do it. I'm going to Atlanta for them next
hmm.
week to present an award, which is pretty cool. They
It's
asked
actually
me
pretty cool.
a few weeks ago and I said, "Yes." I'm not like transparency getting like paid extra for that. I'm
Yeah,
just doing it because we have this ongoing relationship and they pay me
it's a
on
great
time every single
relationship.
time. It's a
Yeah.
great relationship. They help me, I help them. I can ask extra things of them and vice versa. Like I go above and beyond for them.
Hmm.
A brand that makes me wait 5 months to get $2,000, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna pull an extra report for you.
Nope.
You're dead to me. Respectful, respectful.
The longest one I've ever had is 3 months, which I was like never again. So
I've
then
had them
since
long,
then, you
like
like
6 months.
that's crazy. That is
Yeah,
wild. It's a
yeah,
new
and
year already.
it is no, I literally that was the case. It was like I did it in, like, November, and I was like, "Hold on, it's, like, my birthday. It's, like, May, and I still haven't gotten paid." Like, that's crazy, and also I know everybody has their own payment, like, systems
Mhm.
too, but I think, like, try to figure out a way to make it easier if you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, but I've worked with some brands that make me, like, go through so many hoops that I'm not
Mhm.
joking. I've been like, "I'm just not gonna get paid for this." Like, because it's like if it's like a $1,500 thing and you're asking me to, like, sign up for this platform and then send in this doc like,
Yeah. The platforms get kind of sketch
W-9.
sometimes. Like to
Yeah.
me, like it'll be like a small deal, and they'll be like, "Can you just register your Instagram with our system?" I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, I
Can I
don't know
just
if
send
I
you an
want to.
invoice? Like, again, do you make your plumber do that? I don't believe they do. They just take the plumber's invoice. So, I don't know, the bigger the company, like, the more
Yeah.
hoops, I think. But just try to be understanding of the fact that if you're working with full-time creators, that
Yeah.
means, like, they have a lot of contacts to manage, a lot of money, a lot of invoices to manage, and, like,
Yeah.
just try to be like, make it easy for them at
Yeah.
least give them like a little hand holding through that process so
Usually,
they're
yeah,
not chasing
usually for
you.
anyone wondering, my usual process tends to be I sign like a vendor form,
Mhm.
which have like an LLC, which that's just general like small business entrepreneurial advice.
Mhm.
So like don't just be you directly, be an LLC of some sort. Then you do like the 1099 independent contract. So that's
Mhm.
usually another one in addition to the vendor form. And then I usually do bank payments to avoid fees or checks,
Yep.
make it easy. That's usually my typical process. And then I register that in a separate invoicing platform because usually they'll require like an invoice
Yeah.
PDF of some
Yep.
sort. I use Wave and just kind of register it there, which is really
Yeah.
nice and easy. And like I know that seems like actually a lot to like make it work, but the process actually goes very smooth and is very quick, which is
Yeah.
nice.
So I think that's it, right?
That's
That's a
a,
lot.
honestly, that's a pretty full-fledged campaign that I think would have a lot of success. And I think it's really good that we're sharing this because I do have brands approach me sometimes, influencers approach me and reach out or just talk about like, we've seen in the comments how people don't know where to start or like what
Mhm.
happens after what. So hopefully this adds some context to that. And then for brands looking to make full-fledged campaigns, I hope you can almost take this as just thought starters on how you can
Yeah.
structure your own.
Or reach out to us and we'll help you because
Yeah.
honestly, I also think that is if you don't know how to do it and you are an ice cream shop for an example,
Yeah.
this is a lot. Like this is kind of like a lot if you're also an owner operator of like a small local business.
Yeah.
Bring in an expert to help you create that creative this is something when I was first started my business I did a lot of. I just like
Mhm.
just did the creative brief part for the brands, which even that if they pay me like a couple $1,000s to do that, they're saving themselves so much more time
Yeah.
and it's getting done right as opposed to them like throwing spaghetti at the wall. So if you need to pay a
Right.
consultant, just pay a consultant, to get the stuff at least set up for you, right?
Yeah, because I think even down to like your small local business could be using, and I noticed it at least in like Metro Detroit. Like I've noticed a
Mhm.
lot of there's people that manage like a chain of restaurants and help to like run influencer events and things like that.
Yeah.
Essentially the same process, just maybe involving more money or less depending on the business size.
Yeah, for sure.
um, because yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, even down to like UTM link trackers. If you know about that, great. If you don't, there's a lot there to like
Yes, for
actually getting
sure.
proof as to whether or not things worked or not.
Or like the ad
Um,
campaigns, like Ryan's
the
like an
ad
expert
campaign,
at that
yes,
stuff.
it goes
Like,
deep. It goes.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, whatever. Hit us up if you need help. But
um,
thanks for listening. Hopefully this was helpful.
Yes, and if you guys like this episode, subscribe to YouTube if you're watching. Leave us a review. The reviews just help us build our community of reaching out to more content creators and people who are in the influencer creation space or campaign management space and all that other fun stuff. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
Bye.